Alright, let's go over this real quick. So I loaded in your model and I'm looking at the blueprint on the side. So I'm always referring to this blueprint. The section that I'm looking at appears to be, I think, the rear elevation. You can look that the roof line falls in the middle of pretty much all outer walls. Um, that's kind of how I think architects kind of design everything, like whatever the outer walls are, the roof line tries to fall in the middle. So what I'm trying to do here is take a projection of the sketch, projection of the model into a sketch. So I'm selecting my model. Actually, I wanted to select the faces because if I select the model, it's going to do the whole thing. But I'm going to select the individual faces. And when I select all three, for some reason, the left face doesn't want to come into the projection. You can see I got lines drawn for the right two, but not the left. So I just click it and go to sketch and project, and then I click it again. So like I just double project, make sure that that one's in the sketch with me. So now that I have that, I can find the middle of all these walls very easily. So I'm going to get my line tool and I'm going to go to the middle where the triangle pops up, and I'm just going to draw a line straight up. I don't really care how tall this line is. It's just a guideline that I'm going to extend to later. Um, and so now I'm going to draw a line from the middle of, or out of the corner of the wall, just to the middle of that line. And I'm just kind of checking the angles right now. And here I mess up. I put 148 because it's supposed to be a 32-degree angle. But what I think we're supposed to be doing is measuring from a 90-degree angle. So it should have been 122 if I'm doing my math correctly. So should have been 122 degrees. So now I'm doing my offset, and I'm going to set 4.25 inches, basically the width of a 2x4, and then a quarter-inch thick sheet of plywood. I'm just guessing on the roof thickness. It could be different. I don't know what you want to use. And so now that I have my my thickness, I'm putting a line out to the edge. And like I said, this is just for extending this line. What it's going to do is going to make that line hit that line and stop. So I'm going to go underneath the modify tool in the line menu and click extend. So I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just messing around. I guess I was looking at something, but anyway. So I click that line and I hit extend, and you can see it shot down to that line I drew earlier. And I'm going to zoom in up here and you can see the little one that's extending. So I hit extend again and see it made a line to that line. So it's just a really good way to cut. And oh, and you can use trim to cut it. So now my lines fall right in the middle, makes the perfect peak. And I'm going to mirror that over. So I click the two and I use that middle line as the mirror line. So now I got a perfect roof pitch, or perfect roof. Now I got to close in the sections. I messed up, so I got to go back into my sketch and I got to close in the sketch because where the fascia or whatever, the edge of the roof would be exposed, it's not closed. So now I can go ahead and extrude out my two pieces, and I'm trying to get a good view. Navigating's been rough for me. I've been off of it too long. And so I extended it out to there, and that's actually a mistake. The roof starts right there, so I should have just extruded it back, but that's fine. So I extruded back to the edge of the wall where the corner is. And I guess if I was doing this, I'd come over a foot, because I think the roof's overhanging a foot or 8 inches, but depends on how accurate you want to be with architectural rendering. So now I'm trying to think, okay, well, it shouldn't go out to that outer edge because the roof drawing shows that outer edge has its own roof that slants to this roof. So I just bring it back some. I leave it a foot overhang because, like I said, a foot, it's supposed to hang over about a foot or half a foot, I don't know. Alright, so now that gives me my top roof. And what I go ahead and do is I'm going to project again, or I'm going to go back into that sketch that we made earlier. So you'll see I double click the sketch, number 11 I think it was, yep, and that brings me back into the sketch. So now I still have those same lines that I used before. And so I'm going to draw from that corner to there, I'm gonna hit tab to go to the angles. I'm gonna do 100. I'm gonna do 90. I think I fixed it this time. I think I do. No, I still use the same 148. Okay, so I basically just tabbed over and did 148, so I knew it was perfect, and drew the same thing there because I knew it was gonna be perfect. And now I'm gonna draw my line out to the side, and it doesn't really matter where it goes to, but so I'm drawing my line out to the side, and now I'm gonna offset. I'm gonna do 4.25 inches. And then I'm going to extend my lines to go to the bottom. Alright, so that's extended now. Now I should be able to jump out of this view and actually, I don't think I needed to do that, but I can jump out of this view now and finish the sketch and go ahead and extrude that back. And so that's going to give me um, the roof line for that one. Sorry for the background noise. You know how, living with in-laws. So anyway, extrude that out. I think I go like half a foot again over the edge or something. Whatever you do, just do consistent. Alright, so now I got my two main roof lines, but like how do we make that slope and angle? Well, I'm going to take a side projection of that wall, the outside wall, and I'm stuck right here. My view just got messed up, so I had to reset my view. So I'm clicking that, making a projection. And so now I'm going to draw my line in the middle of that wall, because in the sketch it looked like the roof line fell into the middle of that wall. Oh, I am drawing my outer edge. I don't think I really need to do that. I could have just extended that out. Yeah, there you go. Actually, I'm wrong. I don't even think I need to draw a middle line, because all I really need to do. Oh yeah, I did draw a middle line. Okay, yeah, you need a middle line because that's where the top of the roof's going to hit. So now I just draw a line from my outer edge to my middle line, but I tab over and I use the right angle this time. So I hit tab and I noticed that 90 degrees puts me straight up and down, and so I had plus 32 because it should be a 32 angle, and then I just make sure it hits that center line. And so that should give you the right angle. You know the height's correct because you're already meeting the other roof line. So I do an offset, 4.25 inches. I'm going to extend it just like before. It's pretty much after you get this process down, you can move pretty quick. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it's closed, which it already is. Just being extra cautious. I'm going to finish this sketch, and I'm going to extrude this plane, this wall or this roof line out horizontally, and it's going to intersect that other roof line. So let's get over here. So you're going to see I'm going to extrude it in a second. And my father-in-law's blaring music. Now, one thing that annoyed me is my edges didn't line up from outside edge to inside edge, but I realized since this roof line's cutting into it, it really doesn't matter. I show how you can snap edges later, but yeah, you can see I was like, okay, well, it's not lining up. It doesn't matter. So just make sure you click whenever you do an operation, you make it a new body so it doesn't like cut or merge anything. So you'll see over on the right, I changed it to a new body. Alright, so now that I got that wall, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this wall's outside plane to slice the other wall, and that's going to give me a perfect cut where I can merge these two together. And that's why it didn't matter if this wall fit the other wall perfectly or not, because the slice extends, as long as you have it set to extend, it extends out a certain amount. So, and here I was just moving the pivot and I was going to try to snap it. But like I said, this isn't necessary. I didn't even bother doing it. I undid it. So I went to the slice option at the top, which is right next to the combined, and I click the the tool that I want sliced, and then I click the angle. So I sliced the new roof, the new slant, by using the old roof's angle, and then I just remove it. If you hit delete, it messes up. It removes all the history and everything. So you always got to right click and hit remove. And so now I'm going to select the the wall again and hit slice at the top, and I'm going to use the other roof plane. So I'm going to use this side of the roof this time. So I click it and go ahead, and so now I got the other slice, and I just remove it. And so now I got the roof going that way, but I need to slice the main roof so I can merge it all together and it'll look good. So I select the main roof this time. Well, first I'm selecting just make sure you got the right selection tools. Right there it was doing the slice too. So I say I want to slice this object, and I'm going to use this plane over here. So now if I hit OK, and same thing, I'm just going to remove that piece. And there we go. Now I got a nice roof corner that should be the right slopes and everything, and so now I can just combine these two. And there we go. So that's one roof and one slant. Should be all the right pitches except for that initial pitch, but as long as you do the right one when you're doing it, it should work out fine. I mean, the method is exactly the same. So now I was looking at the blueprint. I first thought it was just a wall that came straight down, and that's how I would have designed the roof. I would have had that roof have like a little wall that comes straight down, do some hardy plank on it, because I think that'll look a lot better than what they did. But what they ended up doing was slanting this roof. So I just sliced the sketch. I just sliced it right there. Um, so that way I have a little section to work with later if I ever want to extrude. And then I go over and I'm just thinking about like how am I going to do this, and then I realize, you know what, I can cheat. I can, instead of doing the same method we did before, I can do it a new way. So I wanted to show you how to do it this way too. Since I know this outer wall that I have is the right pitch for the roof line, I can cheat and I can use the same sketch that I had before. And so what we're going to do is, after we make this a new body, I'm just going to snap to the extents of the roof. I'm going to go to the move tool, and that's a good thing to know, is when you slide in the cursor around, you can pick which way you want the way to move, like the angle. So I use the corner so that way I can move like horizontally. But right here I'm using the point snap instead, and I'm snapping that corner to that corner of the roof. So I know that it's corner to corner, those are 100% perfectly aligned. Now I'm going to move the other side rather than extruding, because you could do extruding and you could do, to object, but I think I decide to go ahead and move it. Or maybe I do to object. Okay, I do distance, and then I click on the point. That works too. But you could also have moved it instead. And I make sure it's a new body since I'm extruding. I don't want to combine with everything that's there. So, new body. Alright, here's where the cheat comes in. Well, first I gotta join these two pieces together. Okay, now here's where the cheat comes in. I'm gonna take that roof and I'm gonna move it again, and what's gonna happen is I'm gonna copy it over I'm gonna make a copy of it when I move it, and I'm gonna snap to that point just like I did earlier. And so that's going to make me a long plane that's at the right angle for the roof line. And then after I do that, I can just use the slice tool like before. So once the move's complete, I'm just going to join the two together. And then after this is literally the same process as before. I am just going to select the old roof line, and I'm going to slice it using the angle of that new roof that we made. And we know this pitch is perfect because it's the same pitch of the first one we did. So as long as it reaches the roof height, it should be okay. So I'm slicing the roof line itself first, and then I'm slicing the roof. So slice one side, slice the other side. You can't do two at the same time for some reason, so sometimes you can, but anyway, probably because they're intersecting each other. So anyway, just gonna keep slicing, slice that piece by that tool. And then now I'm just gonna remove those two. And then finally, after this is done, you can merge those two roof lines together and, or combine, sorry. Keep forgetting. Oh, and the cut I made earlier, now I can extrude that edge out. And like I said, it didn't need to be a cut. It could have been anything. And I'm actually just moving it rather than extruding it, so that way it doesn't merge with anything. And so you can also do that. That's a good way to not have to worry about new objects and all that stuff. So now I'm just looking at it, making sure it looks right. And then I'm going to merge the pieces together. And then the roof should be done. But I do notice something after I go ahead and merge. Like when I click this, I noticed that the whole model turned blue. So somehow in the past, our roof line got merged to the body. And you definitely don't want that if you want to keep them separate objects. So now I'm going to go into fixing that. I'm going to show how I fix that. So first thing I do is I turn off that layer since we're done with the roofs, and I want to make sure that we get this roof separate. I don't know where the merge happened on this roof, so I'm just going to jump back in between time and try to find out where the spot was merged. At first I started double clicking to see if like anywhere it was selected in all these extrude or merge operations, because that's usually where it happens. If it was selected, I'd see that it'd be blue or it'd show a selected object. So since I didn't find anything, I just dragged it back and then I checked. I went to the objects and I'm like, yep, still merged. So I dragged it back even further and I still checked, it's still merged. So I just keep going back until I find a spot where it's not been merged. Still merged. Still merged. Not merged. Okay, so this is where it happened probably. So now I jump one step forward and look, it's all merged. So now I double click that and I tell it not to merge. And I scrubbed forward and I was like, holy crap, everything's broken. But I realized there was some stuff in your file that you had that you weren't, like your history was rolled back, but you didn't clear your history before that point. So that's what that stuff is. So anyway, I just step to a point that it's not broken and I just start checking everything. And I can see, okay, well, this spot's okay, so let me step forward one. Everything's still looking okay, so I'll step forward some. Oh no, I noticed the wall was sliced, so I went and double clicked on that slice operation and I made sure that just the roofs were being sliced because the bottom body was getting sliced too and we don't want that. And so I stepped through and I realized that removes the bottom of the house, so I delete that remove. So I remove that actual command, and now I manually remove what's supposed to go. So the only thing we want to remove is what we just cut. So I remove that, and this happens because based on some of the history, the names have changed. So it's removing something that got the same name, but it's no longer the same intended object. So I've made those two cuts, and I can see it removed the wrong thing again. So I move it back on both removes, and I just remove the objects that need to be removed, and I delete those two removes. And it's that one. Alright, and now everything looks good, except my roof lines aren't meeting in the corners, so I gotta fix that too. So what I end up doing is I remove the next two no, actually, yeah, I rolled back. And then I think I just extrude the wall out some. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Let's see. I roll back in the history further and I see that we deleted a part of our roof that we shouldn't have. Because there was a piece that had those two together. So what it looks like is in that combine, I was supposed to combine something. The one that the last combine right before the history marker. So instead I just manually combine it because I want these two to be one piece when that slice operation happens. So I go ahead and scroll forward, and now I gotta fix the removes again because of that combined. So I kind of screwed myself and I had to redo some work. But it's not that big of a deal, like I said. I know that slice happened. I wanted to remove that piece. So I just delete those two removes. Or I delete that one remove. And I do my other slices. And then I think I just delete all these removes and just start removing what I want. Yeah. So delete all those. And now I'm going to remove just the pieces I got sliced that I want to remove. So it's just stepping through your history and taking it one at a time to fix it. And so now that I have that, I know there was a move operation to pull that thing back, so I just step it forward to that move operation. And now our bottom object should be completely separated from our top object, and we can combine the parts of the roof that we want to be one object. And there we go. So now we still have our bottom of the house, and we have the two new roofs we made, and everything's fixed. And what I would end up doing, since you have history at the end of this, and this is the most recent history point, I would delete all that history at the end of this. But I know this was kind of long. Hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you need anything else.